Hello everyone, welcome back to Chelsea Show, where we break down everything happening around Stamford Bridge with clarity, insight and a touch of blue passion. The latest update from West London is one that will worry supporters and frustrate the coaching staff in equal measure. Chelsea are once again preparing for a significant spell without Liam Delap, with the striker expected to miss between 6 and 8 weeks after dislocating his shoulder in the stalemate against Bournemouth. For a squad already stretched in key attacking areas, and for a club that invested heavily in a young forward they believed would develop into a reliable number 9, this news is a major blow. Delap's time at Chelsea has been overshadowed by injuries from the moment he arrived, and just when he seemed to be gaining momentum, another setback has struck. The 22-year-old had only recently returned from a hamstring injury that kept him sidelined for 2 months earlier in the season. That absence interrupted what was meant to be a period of adaptation and growth under Enzo Maresca, who values Delap's energy, pressing instincts and physical presence through the middle. Coming back at the end of October, Delap was slowly being reintegrated into the rhythm of the team, and Chelsea hoped he could build some consistency across the festive period. Instead, he now faces another extended spell recovering, at a time when the club needs depth and stability. Maresca did not hide his frustration after the Bournemouth match. His post-game comments were tinged with disappointment for both the player and the team. He explained how Delap had been unlucky with injuries, and how Chelsea, in turn, have felt the impact of that misfortune. With the manager openly admitting that the side needs that type of striker, a true focal point who can pin defenders, run channels and finish chances, this latest setback could not have come at a worse moment. The shoulder injury looked serious from the moment Delap went down, and early assessments have only confirmed the severity. Despite not scoring in the Premier League yet, Delap has shown glimpses of the potential Chelsea invested £30 million in. His standout moment came in the Champions League victory over Barcelona in November, where he managed to get on the score sheet and demonstrated the kind of intensity and physical edge that first attracted the club to him. Performances like that were meant to be the starting point, not isolated flashes among injuries, but circumstances have continually slowed his progress. The situation becomes even more complicated when looking back at how Chelsea handled their striker options in the summer. Delap's signing was made possible after Ipswich's relegation triggered his release clause. Manchester United and Newcastle were heavily interested, but Chelsea pushed hardest and won the race. That decision had significant consequences. It ultimately pushed Nicholas Jackson out of the squad hierarchy, leading to his loan move to Bayern Munich. Chelsea believed Delap would develop quickly, provide youthful competition, and eventually take hold of the number 9 role. However, when Delap picked up his hamstring injury right at the end of the transfer window, the club tried to reverse Jackson's loan move. The Senegalese striker had no intention of staying after being pushed aside, and the situation resulted in Chelsea entering the season with just one main recognised striker, and that striker is now injured again. The club placed a lot of trust in Delap's availability and potential, and this second lengthy layoff forces them to rethink. As the January transfer window approaches, Chelsea find themselves in an awkward but urgent position. Sitting 5th in the league and 8 points behind leaders Arsenal, they cannot afford to drift further away from the title-chasing pack or the Champions League places. With Delap ruled out until close to the end of January, the squad will be short of a natural number 9 for several weeks, and that could easily push the club into the market next month. Whether Chelsea decide to pursue a short-term solution, bring in a longer-term project, or recall someone from loan will depend on how aggressively they want to approach the rest of the campaign. But what is clear is that the plan built around Delap will need to be adjusted again. His injuries are not only affecting his rhythm and development, but also impacting Chelsea's ability to build a settled, balanced front line. For the fans watching on the Chelsea Show, and for those following every twist of this season, Delap's situation is another reminder that potential alone cannot guide a club through a difficult campaign. Availability matters just as much. And until he returns, Chelsea must find a way to keep themselves in the race. Chelsea's January planning is beginning to take shape, and one of the most intriguing storylines involves the future of Axel Disasi, a player whose time at Stamford Bridge has taken several unexpected turns. The French defender, signed from Monaco for £38 million in 2023, arrived with high expectations. His first season was mixed, and by the end of it, he had fallen so far out of favour that he was sent on loan to Aston Villa for the second half of the campaign. Many assumed his Chelsea career was finished at that point. Yet the arrival of Enzo Maresca in the summer briefly opened a door that now appears to be closing once again. Disasi began the season in what was essentially Chelsea's bomb squad, the group of unwanted senior players training away from Maresca's main team. However, over the autumn period, his professionalism and attitude earned him small steps back into the fold. He even captained the under-21s in a match against Reading, a gesture that sources close to the club viewed as recognition of his effort and behaviour despite being sidelined from the first-team squad. Maresca reportedly appreciated how the defender handled a difficult situation without complaint, but even that wasn't enough to earn him a place in Chelsea's Premier League squad registration. Because he was left out of that list, he cannot feature in league matches until at least January, a limitation that has made his chances of a long-term revival extremely slim. Now, with the winter window approaching, Chelsea and Lyon have entered discussions about a potential transfer. L'Équipe reports that talks between the clubs are active and both sides seem open to progressing a deal. From Lyon's perspective, they see Disasi as an experienced profile who could strengthen their defensive unit at a crucial time. They currently sit 6th in League One, a position that keeps them within touching distance of the Champions League qualification spots. A victory in their next game against Lorient would allow them to close the gap to Lille, who sit in 4th place. The club recognises that defensive depth will be essential heading into a busy period, especially with key players absent. That urgency is heightened by upcoming departures for the Africa Cup of Nations. 2 of Lyon's defenders, Moussa Niakate and Clinton Mata, will be leaving to represent Senegal and Angola, respectively. Both players have been important members of Paulo Fonseca's squad, and their absence creates a serious shortage of options at the back. Fonseca is keen to add someone who can slot in quickly, and Disasi fits the profile in terms of physical attributes, League One experience and readiness to take on a leadership role. The only potential complication, as reported, is whether Lyon choose to prioritise a defender who has been playing consistently this season rather than someone rebuilding his match sharpness. For Chelsea, moving Disasi on would help tidy up the squad, reduce the wage bill, and create further space for either returning players or new additions. But the club must also consider its own defensive situation. Injuries have created vulnerabilities in Maresca's side, particularly with Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwill unavailable. Fofana, who missed nearly a year of football, is being managed carefully. Maresca explained recently that while the centre-back is doing well playing 1 game a week, pushing him too soon could risk another long-term setback. The club is determined to avoid any situation that might lead to him being ruled out for multiple months again. Levi Colwill remains a long-term absentee after suffering a serious knee injury before the start of the season. Despite being unable to train with the squad, he is often seen around the training ground, and Maresca has been in regular contact with him and other long-term injured players like Romeo Lavia. Both are working through their rehabilitation programs, though neither is expected to feature anytime soon. Their presence in the building is a reminder of the defensive depth Chelsea are missing, and that reality complicates any decision to let another centre-back leave in January. Still, Disasi's future at Chelsea never looked completely secure, even after his temporary reintegration. The fact that he wasn't included in the Premier League squad suggests the club has been preparing for this possibility for several months. Lyon's interest provides a clean exit route, and the player himself is said to be receptive to the move, eager to return to a league where he performed consistently before arriving in England. With the French side pushing for European football and facing an AFCON-related defensive crisis, the timing aligns well for all parties. As the January window approaches, this situation will remain one of Chelsea's most significant transfer storylines. If negotiations progress smoothly, it may not be long before Disasi leaves Stamford Bridge permanently, bringing an end to a spell that promised much at the start but never quite settled into the trajectory both club and player envisioned.